War breeds innovation, but not always the kind military commanders approve of. On the front lines of the Second World War, soldiers had to survive conditions their officers never directly experienced. Frozen trenches, low supplies, malfunctioning gear, and, close-quarter ambushes. Desperation and ingenuity collided, producing a strange category of battlefield inventions. Unofficial improvised tools and weapon soldiers built themselves, often in secret, and honestly, often strictly banned when discovered. Some were clever, some were illegal, some were pure madness, and all of them reveal what men are truly capable of when survival outweighs regulations. In many European battlefields, soldiers often found themselves fighting at distances so close that bolt-action rifles became nearly useless. A few infantrymen began secretly modifying their service rifles by cutting the barrel short, removing the front sight, and loading improvised shot-shell cartridges filled with pebbles, nails, or ball bearings. The result? A crude but devastating close-range scattergun. Officers banned the modifications instantly. Shortening a barrel was forbidden, and homemade ammunition could, explode in the chamber. But in night raids, foxhole assaults, and house-to-house street battles, some soldiers kept a sawn-off hidden behind sandbags where officers rarely searched. Before rocket launchers were common, soldiers facing tanks resorted to extreme improvisation. In the Eastern Front and parts of the Pacific, infantrymen welded sections of stovepipes, plumbing tubes, or exhaust pipes into crude, one-shot anti-armor launchers. They loaded small bundles of TNT, metal fragments, stolen or scavenged explosives. The devices were wildly inaccurate and extremely dangerous. Many simply exploded backward into the shooter. Officers banned them outright, but the few that worked gave infantry a fighting chance against armoured vehicles long before standardized bazookas arrived. Grenade shortages were common, especially for isolated platoons deep in contested territory. Soldiers began building jam-jar grenades, filling glass or tin containers with gunpowder, shrapnel, match heads, blasting caps, and crude fuses. British, German, Soviet, and Japanese troops all made versions of this. The problem? They were unstable and sometimes detonated during transport. Commanding officers outlawed them for safety reasons. But in the chaos of trench raids and bunker clearing, men routinely hid a few of these illegal explosives in their coats, because honestly, an unreliable grenade was still better than no grenade at all. Soldiers weren't supposed to create their own booby traps, yet many did, especially nighttime perimeter guards. Using things like tent stakes, springs from broken rifles, scavenged razor wire, sharpened stakes, and even empty cans filled with stones. They created silent traps that officers forbade due to their non-standard design and the risk of injuring friendly patrols. Still, these improvised devices saved lives. They alerted sleeping men before nighttime infiltrators crawled into camp, and in some remote outposts soldiers ignored the ban and kept traps deployed permanently. Fire and smoke were the fastest ways to attract enemy attention, so open flames were banned. But freezing temperatures forced soldiers to improvise personal heaters. One of the most common covert inventions was the foxhole furnace. A tin can, a stack of fuel tablets or, well, sometimes stolen aviation fuel, dirt packed around the base and holes punched into the sides for airflow. This tiny heater could warm a soldier for hours, cook food, or even dry wet socks. Absolutely critical in climates where, frostbite claimed more lives than bullets. Officers, however, prohibited open-flame devices because careless use could reveal positions. But men froze without them, so many kept small stoves buried in the back of their foxholes or hidden under rain capes. Long before Hollywood, made suppressors famous, World War II soldiers were already quietly making their own. Especially snipers and reconnaissance scouts who, needed to take silent shots. Common materials included oil filters, tin cans, bundled rags, drilled wooden dowels, and even rubberized vehicle tubing. These homemade devices, honestly, wore out pretty quickly and often reduced accuracy. But they did muffle a rifle shot enough to, hide a shooter's position for one or two crucial moments. Officers banned these do-it-yourself suppressors because they degraded weapon performance, they were considered illegal modifications, and they contradicted formal military doctrine. Still, when a stealth kill meant survival, men used what they had. Molotov cocktails were officially issued by some armies, but soldiers soon invented a deadlier hybrid, the Molotov mine. Instead of throwing the bottle, they buried it under the snow or mud, attaching a pressure fuse, a grenade pin, a tripwire, or an improvised percussion cap. When stepped on or driven over, the bottle burst and ignited the flammable mix, creating a firebomb explosion. Officers banned these devices because, they were unpredictable. They posed huge risks to friendly patrols, and they violated multiple battlefield regulations. But desperate units, especially resistance fighters and unsupported infantry, used them anyway to stop patrols, disable vehicles, or defend temporary camps. War has strict rules, but survival doesn't. These improvised devices were, unsafe, unstable, unpredictable, unofficial, and honestly, often technically illegal under military law. But soldiers faced shortages, harsh terrain, and life-or-death demands their officers never fully understood. When a man fought in the freezing dark with empty pockets, he learned one lesson fast. If the rulebook can't save you, ingenuity will. These battlefield inventions, hidden, outlawed and long forgotten, stand as a reminder that under pressure humans become, incredibly resourceful. And sometimes the line between survival and regulation becomes razor thin.